Hello, dear friends. Here we are. One more day, 21 days of inner empowerment. Redefining money based on the book Money through the spirit author Emmanuel, through Chico Xavier, the medium. This book was recently published by the United States Spiritist Federation, and you can acquire it by going to the website www.spiritist.us. There you can find your copy, and since Valentine's Day is all around the corner, go buy your copy and give it away to your friends, to your loved ones, because it's really liberating. It's liberating. It's for everybody who is really willing to live a freer life. Freer of what? Freer of misconceptions. Misconceptions is one of the most imprisoning movements of the soul. We have been studying 6 chapters. Today's the 7th on beneficence and charity. In the very preface of the book, the spirit author Emmanuel reminds us that money is also from God. Yes, it is. And we are here live also at KardecRadio.com for those who are willing to listen to the program and cannot be on Facebook. But later, remember, every episode is later uploaded into Kardec Radio YouTube channel. So first preface, money is also from God. And then the redefinition of it all, telling us that it's more about work, the talent of all. It's more about what we can do with our wealth, which is beyond just material wealth, to actually learn how to deal with material wealth. Emmanuel in this book is coaching us to deal with money from a different angle and perspective. And today, as every chapter is revolutionary, he gives one more step into this revolution of definitions and separates beneficence from charity. If you go to dictionaries around the world, you're going to find that beneficence and charity are synonyms. But Emmanuel is going to tell us that according to the science of the spirits, beneficence is one thing and charity is another. What is their difference? Before we begin, let me say hi to our beautiful community that is intercontinental. And I say this because the power of these bridges of brotherhood that we're building every day, solidifying our friendships, our ties, and creating these beautiful rainbows of light for each and every place where we're living in, trusting that God is so powerful, he can multiply the crumbs of our wishes, right? Hello, Julija. How are you? Hello, Valeria. How are you? What a discipline to wake up in the middle of the night and be here with us, Valeria. Thank you. Hello, Sabine Sunshine. How are you? And Andrea, how are you? Lea Severo, Liz Montenegro, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And Solange Silva. Hello, friends. Today we're learning something that is unique. Beneficence and charity. In the dictionaries of the world, they are all in the same. Are they really? Let us read from Emmanuel and learn. It's like we feel like we're in a classroom, but reverent. You know, a classroom in which we're truly reverent to the authority of the teacher. Emmanuel is our teacher. We're learning from him. And later, we're going to lead these therapeutic conversations, bringing about the contents into our daily lives. Feeling the scriptures, so we can actually march more steadily to the kingdom of God, as Jesus explained to Nicodemus. Hello, Angelita and Melissa and Adilson, beautiful family from the Yes Group. Beneficence and charity. Beneficence relieves the ordeal. Charity extinguishes evil. Beneficence aids. Charity solves. You may distribute handfuls of gold that are poured from your bag. However, in so doing, if you forget to add the light of your love in the form of respect and affection before others' wounds, then you have neglected to include the understanding that will help you reconcile with yourself. You may offer the precious resources of intelligence to those who despair because of their ignorance. But if you steal the blessing of sympathy from this lesson, then you not extend clarity to the companion whose suffering blinds them. The donation from your abundance or the value of your culture do not matter in the service of elevating and refining the landscape that surrounds you. And it is the way that you express them, by giving of yourself in what the Lord has lent you to distribute, because your attitude is a factor of fixation on this or that feeling in the vast human pathway. A living example of compassion is better than a sentence adorned with exaltation of virtue, which is merely pronounced by the mouth. The gesture of brotherhood is more beautiful than the comforting arms likely to be spread just for you with the mechanical effort of an arm. This is because we all need inner renovation to access the treasures of spirit. By doing good, using the momentum of our own souls, it lets us value the word through which we'll spread goodness, thereby edifying a life in us and with us, with others and us, by always doing our very best. Very objective, to the point. This chapter is about a few paragraphs, but very different from any explanation, because as we said at the beginning, if we go through the dictionaries of the world, beneficence and charity are almost like one and the same, doing the good. They are synonyms, but Spiritism, the Spiritist science, the science of the spirits, they come and tell us that they are different, that there is a unique element that actually changes and enhances an act of beneficence and transforms it into an act of charity, almost like in a chemical reaction. One more element, an element of harmony, comes in and changes the whole substance. And that's what we're going to see. Our dear friend Julija is mentioning here, "Hi Vanessa, I'm cooking and listening today. Thank you for the good news. It's truly our online Spiritist center. We don't have one where I live, and every day I'm listening cardiac radio, and it's helping me bring hope to people I meet. God bless you." Thank you, friend. And you know, that's one of the reasons why, Julija, and I know you do beautiful works there in Australia, and we need more and more centers around the world. It's so important to have this nuclei that become schools for the soul. They become temples of our inner worshiping, the worshiping with God. They are hospitals for the soul. And by the way, Spiritist centers really need to aim at developing themselves to the point that they work on their mediumship. We can't have mediumistic centers without mediumistic meetings. For the beginning, we understand, but there is a moment in which a spiritist center without spirit communications, without the spirits, is lacking the main part of it. So we really need to work at that end. But Julija, I agree with you. This is the way Jesus found a way to, compensate for this lack. And that's why they asked us, let's put it online. Make sure that we're here together, having this beautiful international coalition of efforts and reaching out to one another while distributing, as you said, you are sharing with the people you meet, because people nowadays more than ever need food for the soul, not to succumb to any negativity, because the world is just getting better. It is. Hello, Maria Graziele Malu, how are you? Yay! And Rihanna, hello. How are you, my friend Rihanna? And Elder is here too. The Yes family. And Rita Di Cassia. Wonderful. But are you ready? It's a therapeutic conversation, friends. This therapeutic conversation is about feeling what we're learning. Yes, we know here beneficence is one thing, charity is another. But let's go back and feel the scriptures. Beneficence relieves the ordeal. Charity extinguishes evil. Beneficence aids. Charity solves. He's talking about the extent of the action of each of these two actions. When I give bread to somebody, it's relieving the person from the ordeal of hunger. But when I give this bread and make people feel loved, then we're extinguishing that evil thought, that negative thought, oh, I'm not loved. That's why I am suffering right now. No, my friend, you're not suffering because you're being punished. Because in this world, God doesn't punish us in any part of the universe. Suffering is a part of the learning. Beneficence aids. Somebody doesn't have a coat, it's winter time. Somebody has this action of the good, beneficence, and they give the coat. It helps. But charity solves. So it's about getting the person out of the street and saying, how can I help you begin your life anew? One person at a time. Think about it. You may distribute handfuls of gold. And so now he's talking about, I give material things, which is okay, which is part of life, and it shall be. But if I forget to add the light of my love, by respecting the person, by having affection for their wounds, which in other words means empathy, then what happens? You have neglected to include the understanding that will help you reconcile with yourself. What does he mean by when I'm giving money to others, I should add that understanding for others, that empathy? How can that reconcile with myself? How is it possible? What is this mechanism? The mechanism is like this. In the book Evolution in Two Worlds, André Luiz, through Chico Xavier, in that chapter, he says that our predisposition to illnesses begin in grave mistakes that we make, that create nodules of disturbance in my spiritual body, the perispirit, and they crystallize nodules of spiritual disturbance, of vibratory disturbance. They will only be expunged when we reincarnate. But how do we get to reconcile with ourselves? By revisiting the very issues that we neglected. So when I am being empathetic to others, feeling their wounds, understanding their needs, being there for them and thinking, oh well, as Jesus said to Peter, most often than not, people are more fragile than evil, than perverse. Fragile, surrendering to certain prejudices due to fear. Fear of what? The unknown. Many people around the world are afraid of the Muslims because they don't know Muslims. Because those who really cherish their religion do not become terrorists. Those who become terrorists, they are not actually religious people. So, I am afraid of the unknown in others. I look at a Muslim, I may not understand, I feel afraid, people tell me stories and I push it away. And I start creating these aversions out of fear, out of protecting myself. And fear, says André Luiz in the book Nosso Lar by Chico Xavier, through his psychography, fear is the worst possible feeling in regards to emotional contagion. It spreads itself out very quickly. That's one of the reasons why we were asked by the mentors, and especially Mentor Joseph, to sustain this current together with you every day. And it's been more than 90 days. We're together in this current of constructive thoughts to make sure that we sustain our thoughts throughout this phase of humanity high, elevated, and we don't drop the ball. Stimulating everyone here becoming multipliers wherever we are. And that's actually a way we also reconcile with ourselves. Because when I understand others, I am practicing a movement that will help me understand myself. Right? Reconcile with myself. Sometimes I have this repulsion against people, and they have similarities according to experiences I lived in previous lives. When I learn to understand them and be loving, I start regaining this self-respect and the love for myself. This is the beauty of the law of society. Through this contact with the others, I learn about myself. It's very hard to know about myself without being in touch with people. You know how often you have that feeling that you plan yourself out and you say, when I meet people, I'm going to behave this, that way. And then when you meet them, everything derails and you go home feeling frustrated. How many people tell me of this? Say, Vanessa, I planned it out and it didn't work. And I say, I understand. It happens to me too. Why? Because it's reality check. When I am in the encounter of others, I get to know who I am. The question for us here right now is very important. How deeply reconciled are you with yourself? Not only in this life. Think about the lives you have lived. If there are things in this life you don't approve of yourself, imagine things of the past. Outrageous things. We have done and we haven't approved of ourselves. That's why I do what? I need to repeat to myself. I love and approve of myself in ways that are pleasing to me. I love and approve of myself in ways that are pleasing to me. I need to repeat to myself that I understand in previous lives I didn't understand life the way I do now. So I approve of myself in the sense of I now know that I am a child of God and I wanna repair and redress those mistakes by creating new habits, new responses to the same old stimulus. And that's very important. You know that feeling about family? Whenever you meet certain people, you always have the same response. It's not about the person, it's about us. How about planning a different response? Oh, but Vanessa, every time they come with that mistake and that story and that, but you can change and I can change the way I see the person. So, let us apply what Emmanuel suggested to us in the book Thought and Life. See the good. Seek. Dig for the good in that person. They must have something good. Dig for it. And feel it. Feel the good that comes from them. Visualize it. And mold your response to the good that exists in that person. Trust in the good of the person. Trust. Trust. And by doing so, it's not only beneficence, it's through charity. It's love in action. Charity means caritas. It means love in action. Even when I give the precious resources of my intelligence, which are not actually mine, everything's from God and comes through me, comes through you, to those who despair because of their ignorance, if I steal the blessing of sympathy from this lesson, that I will not extend the clarity to the companion whose suffering blinds them. I see this in teachers. They deliver knowledge as if they are delivering letters, not even knowing what they are sharing. Okay, here's yours, here's yours, here's yours, yours. But what about feeling? Look at the students in the eye. Look at the people you encounter in the Spiritist Center. We're not superior to them. Remember Stephen from Poland, Stephen. He came to the house of the way after many people encountered Jesus, were on this one-on-one relationship with Jesus. But Peter never looked at Stephen from a superior point of view. He learned with the Master to recognize that each and every person has their own time. And you know, that's one of the reasons why Mentor Joseph was telling me the other day. I was asking him, like, really, we're gonna do this every 11 p.m. forever? And he said, Vanessa, with a smiling face, he said, Vanessa, aren't we workers of the last hour? And 11 p.m. is the last hour of the day. So that's why we're doing this work at 11 p.m. because it's literally the work, the last hour workers, us. So funny, Mentor Joseph, right? Thank you very much. He's funny. He is such a funny mentor. And we're saying this with respect, but but it's literally an opportunity for us in this moment here to feel, what are you feeling there? What am I feeling here? And if I have sympathy for you and you for me and all of us for each other's issues, we're gonna go places together. We're gonna transform our lives for the better and more quickly help our dear Jesus Christ change the vibratory patterns of the earth. Yeah, he needs each and every one of us. The donation from your abundance or the value of your culture do not matter in the service of elevating and redefining the landscape that surrounds you. It is the way you express. So today I was reading an excerpt of the Tao Te Ching, that daily sent to me by our dear friend Fred Gouveia. And the Tao says that it's not about what we give, but how we give. Pause. How do you do things? How do you wash the dishes? Do you wash the dishes mindfully? Do you cook the dishes with mindfulness? Do you give yourself a bath or a shower mindfully? Or when you're giving yourself a shower, a bath, you're thinking about what you have to do? It's about the how we do it. Also because this body is not ours. It's not us. That's where we begin. Charity. Saying, I cannot hit my hand on the wall because I'm angry. I saw somebody doing that the other day and I said, oh, poor body. Not poor you, poor body. Of course, it's connected to us, but the body is the body. Why are we oppressing the body? How many of us do things in an oppressive manner? No wonder the current times we're living in is a full expression of this ultimate pattern that we need to read of ourselves. Oppression. What we're seeing manifested worldwide is an opportunity for us to go within and ask, how much of this external scenario belongs to me? How much of this external scenario? Because we tend to believe that this external scenario has nothing to do with us. But it's not by chance we're here. We need to ask this question to ourselves. Right? Hello, Tanya and Margaret Carmo, Tanya Stewart and Sol Souza and Rihanna. Oh, Rihanna, God is great, right? A good moment for us to have this daily spiritist center here. Beautiful conversations. Hello, Jussara. So here we have, dear friends, the way you express them by giving of yourself in what the Lord has lent you to distribute. Because your attitude is a fact or fixation on this or that feeling in the vast human pathway. And God is so good that Thich Nhat Hanh, Dalai Lama, and many others, Pope Francis, many leaders, religious, non-religious, spiritual leaders, non-spiritual leaders, good ones. And I say, leaders, quote unquote, the only leader is Jesus, but we're talking about the human part of the incarnated ones, right? And they are all reminding us about the way we do things. What is the way you're doing your things? Do you feel you constantly have to defend yourself and protect yourself from others? Remember when we talked about fear? It's not worthwhile creating our lives based on fear. Many people, majority of people on earth are doing this as we speak. They withhold assets, afraid of what's going to happen. They stay truly connected with their families, not because they love, but because they're afraid of being alone. They decide to have a group of friends because they're afraid, and they even surrender to unhealthy habits because they're afraid of being alone, of being rejected, of being not understood. Do you take your decisions based on fear or on love? Because when we are talking about charity here, it's an action based on love. So if we really want to boost ourselves to another level and really tune in with this charitable mode, we need to boost in us decisions based on love, not on fear. What are the things you're doing today in your current life, in these present days, that are based on fear? Many people stick with the same unhealthy relationships because they're afraid of being alone. At work, they stick with the gossip mill friends because they're afraid of being outside of it, of being outcast, an outlier. But they go home, they cannot sleep. They go home feeling depressed. So where do you think you are in that regard? How many of your daily actions are based on love versus based on fear? And do not justify. Let us not justify ourselves saying, but Vanessa, we are on the earth, because Jesus never taught us. He never pointed that route of fear. Never. He never said, yeah, you better do this, or he said no. Courage. Remember, one of the trademarks of the follower of the good news? Courage. And courage means opposite of fear. And to sustain it, we need love. It's love. Andrea is saying, Andrea Torres, I sang today for me. I'm a child of God. And she thought of us when she came into the negative thoughts and started to think positive. Thank you, dear Andrea, for being with us and reminding ourselves of this. And that's the way to go. We're working constantly on that regard. Seeking the good. Seeking the good is like an effort. When they say, Emmanuel said, you must seek the good, he says, put an effort to dig the good. Think of a person and say, she must have lots of good things. That person must have a lot of good things. I just need to make an effort and find out, because he or she is also a child of God. Right? And we sing. We are all children of God. We are all children of God. We've reincarnated to learn to do good. And that's why we're here. Your attitude is a factor of fixation. on this or that feeling. So we really need to care how we're responding. Fear-based, love-based. Love-based is the only way to go. The guiding model of humanity is always pointing out to the direction of love-based thoughts, love-based feelings, love-based words, love-based actions. Don't be afraid. Oh, but I have to make this phone call. Maybe people are saying this. Don't. Don't make that phone call because you're afraid that people are saying. If you need to make a phone call, make a phone call out of the impulse of good and love. I'm going to make this phone call to tell people and to tell my family that I love them. And not to double check so I manipulate, because this is fear-based. I only need to manipulate people and control people in situations when I am driving myself under the mode of fear. And when there's fear, there's no charity. Charity comes when there's love. A living example of compassion is better than a sentence. Some people say, but what do I do? What do I say to this person? What? Emanate. As André Luiz says in the book, Christian Agenda, a virtue is not a mouth that speaks, but a force that emanates. Emanate. Think of the person before you meet the person. Embrace that person in that kindness. Remember, we have only two choices. Be in this club of the good or the club of the obsessors and the obsessed. Right? Whenever we think the negative persistently about somebody, we're not protecting the world. We're not protecting ourselves. We're actually obsessing somebody. We've never heard Jesus warning us of Caesar. Has he? Was he asking us to be afraid of Caesar? No. Did he warn us, saying, no, don't go there, don't say this, don't... No. He didn't say, go there and create a revolution. He said, go and create a revolution inside of you. But don't be afraid, because when you start it, your world is going to change and everything is going to change around you. So be prepared, because you're going to rock your own self and your life all around. Are you ready for it? Are you afraid of it? Some people want to change, but when they think that change means leaving the comfort zone, they give up. They say, no, but I didn't mean that. Well, but change is change. Change means something new you've never experienced. Change for the better means something new you have never experienced. Are you ready for it? Am I ready for it? A gesture of brotherhood is more beautiful than comforting alms. Yes, brotherhood. And you know it's brotherhood when we go to a spiritist center and we look at people around, and instead of talking about our lives, forget about ourselves. And we ask ourselves, I want to wish a Merry Christmas to everybody, though it's not Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish... You know, that's the feeling when you enter the Spiritist Center. And everywhere, you want to wish everybody the best without words. Feelings. It's as if you're singing. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Feliz Navidad. Choo 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 choo. Feliz Navidad. Though it's not Christmas, it doesn't have to, right? Because it should be every day. It's this love-based feelings, non-fear-based, love-based. I enter and I feel it. I don't need to say a word. I look at people in the eyes and I smile with my eyes. Remember the emotional body language? I trust that I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to defend myself. I just need to look at people and embrace them, knowing that they are children of God, I'm children of God. And these are not mere words. These are true feelings. Can you feel it, friends? Therapeutic question here. Scale 0 to 10. How often do you feel yourself in this mode of love-based feelings, thoughts, actions, and words during the day? Statistically, 0 to 100%. How much of it do you think you are actually have been able to display it, to feel love-based thoughts, feelings, words, and actions? Or are you constantly feeling you have to defend yourself because of fear? You have to explain yourself because of fear. You have to manipulate and control because of fear. You have to protect yourself and others because of fear. Life cannot go any further, right? Rudy, happy birthday. Okay, if today's my birthday, it's everybody's birthday too. Rudy, thank you. Hello, Danielle Castellani and Monica. And layer, exactly, emotions, feelings, thoughts, words. Filled with love, full of love. Two choices. Ask ourselves. That's the exercise for this day. Am I doing this because of fear or because of love? Because of fear or because of love? Fear or love? That's the homework for us. Okay? Let us plan on doing this homework, which is asking ourselves during this day, am I doing this because of fear? Am I doing this because of love? And Emmanuel, finally, this is because we all need inner renovation to access the treasures of the Spirit. Inner renovation means change, renewal, reform, transformation, something we don't know. Are you ready for things you don't know inside of you? You afraid? Don't be afraid. No, you're a child of God. I'm a child of God. And by doing good, using the momentum of our own souls, it let us value the word through which we will spread goodness, thereby defining a life in us and with us, with others and us, by always doing our very best. Friends, it's not my birthday, okay? It's Jesus' birthday every day. But let me share something with you. When we do our very best, it's a birthday feeling. It's the feeling of renewal. Feeling of renewal. Always giving our very best. We can only give our very best when we allow God's love to go through us. Your feelings of love come from God. It's when you open, and I open the pathway, the vessel for God's flow of love to go through me, you and I. Mechanisms of mediumship. Andrea Lewis explains, when we are immersed in God's thoughts, we allow God's thoughts to permeate ourselves consciously. We're not afraid of the best in us, because this best in us is the expression of God. Can you imagine, as Kardec says, the picture that was painted? It expresses the excellence of its author. Don't be shy. Let it shine. You knew we would come to this end, right? Yeah, I didn't. Surprising. But when we're talking about doing our very best, we're talking about letting the light of God shine through us. That's why we're going to wrap up by singing. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Don't be shy, don't be shy, don't worry. Be happy. And be so happy because tomorrow we're gonna start a new chapter, which is precisely what we need before God and Caesar. Talking about Caesar, Caesar's coming along. And Emmanuel clearly tells us everything about what we need to do for the current times. Just wait and see. Meanwhile, give the best of you by trusting God. He made you a light. Let it shine. Don't be shy. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Don't be shy. A big kiss and a hug and lots of good works observing fear-based or love-based decisions, thoughts, words, and emotions. And until tomorrow.